Hi, welcome to Ask Ann Anything, a show where we talk about real estate, credit, and consumer finance. My next guest is Cassie Stanley, the director of NID Georgia, a HUD-approved counseling agency. And we're going to answer your questions about what's happening in the housing market. You're a real estate broker and I'm a real estate broker, and this market is crazy.
Yes, it is.
We're seeing things that we never thought we would see.
Yes.
And I have a lot of clients, when they call me, they're reluctant. They want advice. Do I buy now? Should I do this now? Should I wait? Because I remember back in 2008, when we had the mortgage crisis and all of these homes were on the market and you could get them for little or nothing. But a friend said something to me, which I'm going to throw out.
Okay.
It's too late for 08.
It is too late for 08. First of all, we don't yet have the inventory. But when we do get the inventory, the prices are not going down. And so that's the difference. In 08, you could go out and buy properties for 1/3 of what they paid for. That day is over. And so these buyers now have to qualify for more than they did before.
That's the first point. So what is different? And this is what I try to help people understand. They're like, well, what's the difference? There's a big difference.
Yes, it is.
Because back then, loan guidelines were very loose.
Very loose.
People with poor credit could get qualified for a loan.
Because back then, and you remember, they had the stated loan, so you could state your income and qualify. And they were asking for very little supporting documentation.
No doubt.
Now they may pull your credit report at the closing table, or they may ask for income verification. So it's so different than it was back then.
So with all of this said, we want to make it clear. It's not the same as 2008.
It is not.
This is a new day.
It's a new day. I've spoken to some of the listing agents and they said, Cassie, you won't believe some of the bids, the prices that we're getting on these properties. And then, of course, if you're going, depending on the type of loan, they may or may not have to get an appraisal to appraise for that value. And so they're getting the property.
And they're waiving these appraisal contingencies. So I know we're talking some jargon that's particular to our industry, and that people may not always know that. Simply put, whenever there's a contingency in a contract, if it is not met, you can back out of that contract and get your money, your earnest money back. So anytime we use the word contingency, the sale or the closing is contingent upon certain things happening. An appraisal is one of them. So you know, if a listing agent, they're going to list it pretty much close to what it appraises for. If a house appraises for $350 and you offer $400,000 on it, chances are it's not going to appraise for $400. It doesn't matter if the lender says you qualify for $400.
Exactly.
If it only appraises for $350, that's the most the lender is going to lend you for that home. Which means, where does the other $50,000 come from?
You got to come up with that money.
You got to come up with it.
You got to come up with that money.
So that's one thing that I'm seeing. I don't know, and it's so discouraging.
And the other thing that I'm seeing a lot of, Ed, is that during that due diligence period, we used to think we could go 10 days. Okay, so how about the fact that even the homeowner, whether the sellers are saying, no, I give you 3 days. You need to make up your mind in 3 to 5 days. So that means within that time, you got to get it inspected. You got to do all the things to meet that deadline for that due diligence. A lot of people are losing out.
Let me tell you what she's talking about.
Okay.
So when you write a contract, or when your agent writes a contract for you, and you will, by the time we finish, we're going to tell you why you need to make sure you have a real estate agent. But when your agent writes that contract for you, you have due diligence period, a certain number of days where you can do all of your homework, all of your inspection reports, anything you want to find out about that property. And as long as you terminate that contract within those due diligence days, you could get your earnest money back.
Yes.
And we used to look at 10. I would put 10 days on some,
Me too.
7 days on some. But investors are saying 0 days due diligence.
That's what I'm about to say. They don't even want to do diligence.
Now let me ask you this.
And of course, and they don't get inspections?
Nope. They don't need an appraisal.
They don't need
How
anything.
can a home buyer compete with that? Now, listen, I'm not trying to make this sound like it's a doomsday, okay? Because Cassie and I are going to talk about some things that maybe, you can do to help get in a home. We firmly believe that everybody deserves a home.
Right.
Your own home. Again, your path to getting that home may be different from somebody else's, but we're going to talk about some things that you might want to do or to think about.
Okay, good.
So let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Because, when we first started out, we used to say realtor. It's realtor. Realtor or no realtor?
Realtor.
Realtor.
You need a representative.
Always.
Always. And when you're talking about that and in new construction, you don't need to be going into a subdivision without representation. Do you know, even back in the 2005, that's how so many homes foreclosed, because everybody likes new. And so you ride down the street and you see this new subdivision, and you go in and you start talking, and they say, you're under contract. And then the lender has already approved you with no representation, not realizing the person on site works for who, Ann?
They work for the builder.
Okay.
So particularly here in Georgia, let's say, and I realize it may differ for other different states, but usually in Georgia, most often than not in Georgia, the seller is going to pay the real estate commission.
That's right.
Okay, there may be some other states where it's handled differently, but in Georgia, that's the case, okay? If the seller is paying for your representation, why would you not have one?
Why would you not?
You're not paying the realtor. The seller is paying the commission to the realtor. So that's for starters.
And so, Ann, why do you think that the on-site agents don't advise that person? You can have your own representative. Why do you think?
Well, it does affect the builder's bottom line.
I know.
Okay? So you have that right. And, I used to work on site, and we had a sign up there, or at least I had a sign.
Mm-hmm.
On-site agents represent the builder.
Very good. You're one of the few.
We don't represent you.
Exactly.
So you are entitled, and you should have representation. And here, I'm going to give you a good reason why. One situation. I had a young lady who went to a new home community. The on-site agent called me and said, "Hey, your client is here. We're about to write a contract." I said, "I beg your pardon?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "No, we're about to write a contract. She's going to get..." I said, "Oh, no, you're not." He said, "Don't worry, I got you covered."
That's the word, Ann.
I got you covered.
That's what they
In
say.
other words, he was saying, "I'm going to put you down as the agent on her contract." I said to him, "Sir, I work for my money.
Mm-hmm.
You are not to write a contract. I will be right there." And I had to go a little distance. But here's the interesting thing. She was so excited about where she was building her house. And that's the first thing, because I know how to pick, it's all about picking a good site.
That's right.
Your agent who works for you is going to say, no, don't get a home there where the builder wants, or the on-site agent wants you to put the house, because they're trying to build in that area and get that area built up before they go.
First.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I went to the site, I bring my little boots, and I looked at her and I said, "We're going out there." She said, "What?" I said, "We're going to walk the site." She says, "Grass all over." You got on jeans, we're going to walk.
That's it.
By the time we walk, and the agent is convincing me, she's got a good lot, she this. By the time we walked back to that end of that lot, it was a nosedive.
Or on the retention pond where they really want to sell the properties.
Most definitely, because those are the hardest to sell. Now, in today's market, it's not so hard.
No.
But back then, and this is the point that I'm trying to make, it was a nosedive. I said, "She's not getting this lot. Give me the site map." We went and looked, found her a beautiful lot for her grandkids to play. But had I not come there,
that's right,
and she just listened to the advice of that on-site agent,
that's right.
He didn't even know that it was an nosedive back there, because he didn't walk it.
And then, and when you're talking about that, even to go to NID, I've had clients call me because they went on site, they wrote the contracts. The person on site approved them for a loan that they could not qualify for, didn't go over the terms of the loan, promised them they was going to get this particular floor plan, which they did not. And then they got locked into the contract and called us to see how could they get out. I said, well, did you have representation? They said, no. They told us we didn't need representation. I said, really?
You always need representation.
Always.
Many people have financial questions and they don't know where to get answers. Now you do. We want to be your resource by providing you with educational information in a way you can easily understand from people you can trust. I invite you to send your questions to Ann at askannanything.com. Your questions form the basis of our show. Additionally, we offer live Zoom educational classes on home buying and credit that you will want to take advantage of. Remember, home buying starts with planning. For more information or to register for our course, go to askann.com. Now, if you enjoyed today's show, please click like and submit. I look forward to seeing you next time.